The new year brings new opportunities to grow your business. If you could have closed more deals in 2016, but just didn't have the bandwidth, it's time to get some help. An admin assistant or a TC is a great place to start. They will literally free up your precious time to focus on the real drivers of your business, sales, marketing. You want the best admin on your team? You want that one person who loves to do what you hate to do? They have a passion for details. They love paperwork and bring efficiency to your life. Block. I don't want to do that stuff. Hey, let the folks over at WiseHire attract and qualify your next administrative assistant. WiseHire specializes in helping real estate agents just like you hire the very best talent. For our listeners, WiseHire is offering a free disc assessment and evaluation when you sign up. $200 value, completely free. Go to wisehire.com/super. That's WIZE. Welcome to Super Agents Live. This is the one place where you can come and hear the most successful people in real estate. You'll hear how these super agents built their businesses, how they stay productive, and how they stay motivated. Who am I? My name's Toby Salgado, and I made my first million in real estate. And I'm your host for the next 30 minutes while we talk to yet another amazing real estate entrepreneur. Stay tuned.
Let's go! Yeah!
Hey everybody, what's up? How's it going? 2017, start of a new year, start of a new you. I'm excited. I hope you are as pumped as I am. Now, I would love to be on the lookout for one of my emails. I'm going to email you guys. I want to survey all you guys. Or you can just send me an email and let me know what you're trying to accomplish. And more importantly, what you need help with. If I kind of know what direction, what you guys need, I'll go out and find it. I'll go get the right person and bring it on and grill them on your behalf. Okay. Today's episode, this guy's a marketing guy. We talk about all sorts of stuff marketing. He's a copywriter. We talk about how to write copy. We talk about the difference between advertising and marketing, when to use this, when to use that, what's the real difference. We talk about how to build your brand in a meaningful way, not just to get impressions. Sorry, I just dropped my pen. We also, at the end of this episode, we tell you how to get your free ticket for our virtual summit, right? GetListingSummit.com. That page is finally done. So I think we're having like 40, 45 speakers. So if you want a free copy, listen to the end, or just go to GetListingSummit.com. All right, that's free. I do on that summit. I do 2 sessions. I do one session. I talk about radio, what it takes. What the 4 things that you need to get right for radio to work. So listen to that one. I also do a session on how to mine your database with email content. Okay. Now this is important to me. We all know that email is your most valuable spoke in your business. However, high 90% of you guys are not mining your database. If you are even sending anything out to your database, it's one of those terrible, terrible market updates, right? That doesn't add value to anybody. So we talk about mining your database with email. That is a perfect segue into letting you guys know our copy and send site, copyandsend.com. We have 300 templated emails for you. If you don't know what to write, if you're not a copywriter, fine, no worries. For $12 a month, your copywriting days are over. All you do is go, hey, what do I want to send? Do I want to send a buyer-focused email? That's fine. Go through the library, pick that one. Do I want to send a seller one? Do I want to tell people why winter's a great time to sell? Do I want to explain to someone how and why they should get a home inspector? And let me say this to you. These are packaged right now as emails that you can just literally copy and send. But you can also use this content as social media content, right? Because again, if you're not great at writing email, you probably don't know or great at writing social content. So we crafted these at the right length where you could use them for one or the other. So go check it out, copyandsend.com. Quick housekeeping. If you're new, welcome. Check us out. Go to superagentslive.com. Download my free ebook. Again, there you go. I'm building my email list. Check out radio if you want to level up. We put agents on the radio and television. Join the conversation. Twitter. I'm at Super Agents Live. I think that's it. Oh, and if you haven't subscribed, do it. And if you feel so inclined, you know what I'd love? Love. Helps other people find the show. Give us a rating and a review. How about that? Right? Appreciate it. Okay, let's get to it. Today on the show, guys, I'm doing something a little bit different. Obviously, as you guys know, I talk with superstars in this world of real estate. And in 2017, we're going to be branching out. We're going to be doing some different things. And one thing that I commonly say is that real estate agents are terrible marketers. Terrible. You guys, this should be your guys' strong suit, but it is your weakest link ever. So today's guest is a guy that was in real estate, got fascinated with the art of marketing and advertising, and that's kind of where his world is today. I'm thrilled to welcome Andrey Poston. Andrey, how you doing, bud?
Good. How are you? Thank you.
Good, man. Good. Thanks for taking the time out. You and I have gotten to know each other a little bit over the last 6 months or so, and we're actually working on a little bit of a project together. We'll talk about later, but I wanted to let's get into marketing, why, and where people are failing. But before we get there, tell us a little bit about who you are, Andrey. I know you kind of have a rich background.
Yeah. Well, I think I'll start a little bit with what got me interested in marketing, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
My dad worked at Boeing. I grew up in a blue-collar family. I was the oldest of 4 boys, so 4 kids and mom and dad. And my dad worked at Boeing, and when I was about 12 years old, Boeing had been going through a series of layoffs. And my dad, unfortunately, was on the chopping block, and that happened to him as well. And eventually he ended up back at Boeing. But during that time of when he got laid off, I watched my dad and my parents go through a level of stress that I had never seen anybody go through before in my life. And I was young, but it made a lasting impact on me, and an imprint. And the one thing that I kind of swore to myself at 12 or about 13 years old was I never want to be in a position that I saw my dad being in. And so I actually went to the library. This was in the Seattle area. This was in Mill Creek. It's a suburb of Seattle. I went to the library, and I started looking at books on making money, how to make money and how to have financial freedom. And I was literally 12 or 13 years old, and I started reading about stocks and bonds, investing in the stock market. And then I came across a few books on marketing and business. I don't even remember what the first ones were, but they really fascinated me. And then somehow, I think it was online, I came across some Jay Abraham stuff. Now keep in mind, I'm like 12 or 13 years old, right? And I'm reading Jay Abraham, and I just really liked it. And then I forget the real estate guru's name, but there was a guy selling some sort of a real estate investment training product that I saw in an infomercial one night. And I got my parents to order it for me, and I gave them cash from the money I'd earned from mowing neighbors' lawns. And that was my first informational product I bought. And so literally at about 12 or 13 years old is when I became kind of just obsessed with the discipline and the science of marketing and sales. And I've kind of stuck with it since.
That's awesome, man. And I'll tell you, I think one thing that if, a skill, right? Marketing is a skill, sales and selling is a skill. And I think that if everybody understood how to sell, how to persuade people, you would have no problems in your life. And I think too many people, maybe even like your dad, right? I don't know if he was an engineer, but when your whole lifestyle is based on a technical skill, you can easily be displaced out of the market. So
right.
That's awesome. One thing that struck me about your story, Andrey, is the fact that, you understood that there's 2 things. One, you understood that you needed to always be learning. And 2, you understood the fact that you needed to invest in yourself. And I think so many people, Andrey, right? Why do you think most people will migrate to the free stuff and never even spend $96 or, $300 on a product like you did when you were 12 years old?
I've struggled with that question myself, and I think, and again, this is my perspective, right? So you're asking me a question, and the answer I'm going to give you is obviously my perspective. So I don't want to insult anybody or anything like that. There's so many backgrounds and stories that, you and I are not aware of why somebody does what they do. But I will tell you this. I think that when I talk to people who don't invest in themselves versus people who do, I think one of the things that it comes down to is something that I learned that's called self-efficacy. And self-efficacy is the concept of believing in yourself to actually be able to make something happen. And so I think that oftentimes if people don't believe in themselves that they can make it happen, that they can actually take some knowledge and apply it and translate it into an outcome or success that they want, they won't invest in it, right? Like on a really basic level, you might not invest in, for example, a training program of any sort, regardless of what discipline or field that you're in, but you'll invest in Netflix for $9.99 a month. Why? Because the outcome is that you know that you'll get entertainment and you'll get a laugh, or you'll get it, or you'll whatever itch that Netflix scratches. So that, I think that is just a holistic, whatever your holistic worldview is. I think that's where it comes from. I know that I've talked to a lot of people. My mom was even like this. My dad actually was a person who was open to investing in products and training courses, and he wanted to kind of start his own business, etc. But then there's the risk of family, and risking all that. My mom, on the other hand, always thought, all these people who sell stuff, they just make money from selling the stuff, right? It's one of those worldviews. And, there are a lot of people in this world who make money just from selling information, but they've never actually practiced it. That is true, and I've come across those people, and I've been fleeced by those kind of people myself. So I know they're out there. But at the end of the day, that isn't good enough reason to not invest in yourself. But you've got to really believe that you will actually take that information and you will apply it and actually try to do something with it. But if you're a person who doesn't believe in yourself, if you don't trust yourself, you won't invest in yourself.
Yeah, and I think the other thing, Andrey, is the fact that hold on, I'm turning up my mic here. Is the fact that these people. Let me give an example. I recently got I get emails all the time about the show, right? And they're like,
sure.
Hey, I love this show. I'm a big fan. I've been listening to you for years. You've changed my business, my life, and all that's great. But I recently got an email from a girl, and she was a little bit complaining to me. And the thrust of her email was, hey, I love the show. You do great work, but I'm bummed because out of every episode, I just get one or two nuggets. And I'm like, what? Like, you get one, like, that's all you need. That, like, how much do you expect? And I think that's the thing. I think people, when they think about writing a $300 check or again, whether it's $96, and this is obviously aimed at the summit, we can talk about later, but either
right.
$96 or $9,600, if you can get one nugget, one thing that can change your whole trajectory. And I think this, Andrey, and I'd like to get your opinion on this. I think this goes back to mindset, right? Do you have an abundance mindset that you can take that one nugget and make it 2, make it 4, make it 8, or do you have a scarcity mindset and like, oh, one nugget, 2 nuggets, not enough?
Right. Well, there's actually 2 parts that I would say as kind of a counterpoint to what you're saying. The first one is that so we know that diabetes is rampant in America, right? Just diabetes and the state of physical health overall. Something that people don't talk about as much is information obesity.
Good one.
And I think information obesity, and I'm not responsible for that phrase. I learned that from somebody somewhere. It's an epidemic. And people just get addicted to more of that dopamine squirt of more information. And if they're not applying it, then no amount of information. You could give a person like that 10 nuggets and it wouldn't make a hill of beans difference versus 1 nugget. It really wouldn't. So it really is about the mindset. You're spot on. The second thing I'll say is people oftentimes don't intelligently approach information consumption. And what I mean by that is one thing that I've learned from a mentor is before you consume an audio, before you consume a book, write down what you want to get out of it. And what it does then is it actually gives a new piece of information that you're consuming. It gives it a bit of a focus point instead of you just kind of blindly taking in information, if that makes sense. Now, I'm not saying, when I listen to podcasts that are entertainment based, I just listen to them for the sake of entertainment. But if you're intentionally trying to grow your business as a real estate agent and you're going to go consume some real estate training or information, whatever it is, actually write down on a piece of paper, what do I want to learn out of this? What do I want to walk away out of this? Or what problem am I trying to solve for? And I think that can make it more valuable than even did I get 1 or 2 nuggets, is did I solve a problem that I'm actually trying to solve? And now as I'm talking, the third thing that comes to mind is this. And I was this kind of person at one time too. If this lady, and I'm assuming she's a real estate agent, this lady that emailed you is a struggling real estate agent or doesn't have a system or business system in place, she actually doesn't have anything to apply nuggets to. Right? Like if you have a system and a business in place that you're constantly working, then you have a vehicle to constantly drop nuggets into and just see if they work or not, right? Test them. But if you're constantly just a consumer of information and only a learner and you're not a doer, right? You're not an action taker with them, you don't have a system to put them into, no amount of nuggets will make a difference. Like, you can't do anything with information. It's information applied that actually creates something.
That's great, man. That is great. And I think that it's interesting. I think the one thing that, when we try to grow ourselves and then grow our businesses and we want to get information, I think many people will, especially with like a podcast, for example, they really want to be entertained first and foremost, but they're doing it in the guise of learning, right? And if they just go, hey, you know what? Listen, I'm just going to burn out on This American Life. It comes out every Sunday. I love it, right? That's pure entertainment, and that's how I use it. I don't try to use it to so good ones. So let's talk about systems and processes, right? If somebody doesn't have a system or process to apply those nuggets to, they you can get a nugget and you don't know how really valuable it is because you don't have a place to slot it.
Right.
You have been in this world of real estate in the past. Can you give us any sense of how can people start, or how should they approach building a system or process for their businesses?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I was a real estate agent 6 or 7 years ago. But let me just before I answer that question, let me give you just a little bit brief background on my marketing background. I think just for your audience, for context sake. So when I was 18 years old, I was working 80 hours a week and getting paid for 40 hours a week on a salary position. I was a project engineer for an industrial contractor. We built wastewater treatment plants. That's where when you flush your toilet and all that stuff, where does it go? Well, I built the plants and systems for cities that took all that stuff, right? And I was getting paid for 40 hours a week, but working 80 hours a week. And I was like, I'm not going to keep doing this. I was 18. And anyways, I got an opportunity to sell. So I'd been obsessed with marketing, but then ended up needing to get a job right at 18. My marketing wasn't doing anything for me in terms of money because, again, I was just consuming information, but I didn't have a business to put my marketing knowledge into at 18 years old. So I got a job. Anyways, about a year and a half into that job, I came across a sales gig opportunity to sell websites to real estate agents from like a template real estate website company. This was years ago when they first started coming out of Canada. And I was like, and I for the first time learned what SEO was, right? Because they taught me what SEO was, and I put up a blog post in like 15 minutes. It ranked locally for like some real estate terms, and I'm like, I can sell this. So I started calling real estate offices and booking speaking, presentation gigs for me at team meetings, and I enjoyed selling it. And then of course the agents would come back around and hire me to work on the websites themselves, even though they were templated. They still needed help. Long story short, I ended up becoming a real estate agent myself. I was like, well, I can do this for myself. I did that for about 2-3 years, but I personally didn't like the idea of constantly being tied down to clients, like, being at their call, right, their beck and whim. And I didn't have any mentors at the time who really could teach me team building. So I thought that I was just going to forever be stuck being a real estate agent 24/7 around the clock at the call of clients. So I didn't have a system in place, and I was like, you know what, I want geographic freedom. So I stopped being a real estate agent and became a marketing consultant in the real estate industry. So I could work from anywhere in the world as long as I had an internet and laptop. And so for the last 6-7 years, that's what I've been doing, is consulting with primarily with real estate-based businesses on how to sell their products and services, whether it's selling it, vendors selling to agents or to real estate professionals, or it's consumer-facing platforms that are selling on behalf of agents or doing lead generation with homeowners, etc. So I've worked a whole gamut of things: mortgage companies, brokerages, hard money lenders, lead generation companies, software as a service companies. I've kind of worn a marketing cap from almost every perspective of the real estate industry. And so I share all of that, not to impress anybody because I don't even think it's impressive, but to impress upon people that I've seen the back end and the inner workings of a lot of different businesses in real estate, from mega agents to software companies to loan officers. And the one thing that really good systems all have in common, and I think this is lost on new beginners, and it was lost on me in the beginning too, is that really good systems are incredibly simple, minimum viable things. A lot of times when we start trying to build a system of any sort, we tend to create a massive list of ideas and processes and thoughts. And what happens is that we put ourselves in a state of overwhelm and just an inability to comprehend and make it all happen. There's one piece of advice. So one piece of advice that I will give, and I don't remember exactly where I read this, but I read a book about marketing once where the guy said, "I'm going to give you the dumbest marketing idea on earth." Right? That was his kind of hook to kind of reel you in. And when I read it, I was like, you know what? This actually perfectly applies to building systems. And his whole dumbest marketing idea was this: create your marketing plans assuming worst case results. And then if your marketing plan or system can still work based upon worst case results, then you've got a good system in place. You've got a good marketing plan. His whole idea was don't try to do like the one big massive marketing, big kahuna plan that some vendor sells you for $10,000 or $5,000, right? And then you spend the money, the leads or the marketing results don't come in. And then you're out that money. The vendor's richer and you're no richer. His whole advice was create multiple marketing systems or strategies that don't produce that actually produce results, even if the worst case scenario happens. And so I think that my advice to anybody universally who's listening to this, when it comes to, regardless of what their specific situation is, I think a universally applicable piece of advice is when it comes to systems, start super simple, super small, and actually try to systematize something. And I think a great exercise in this, for this, and this is the way I started, was actually to write out something called standard operating procedures, right? So it's to simply take a process. Let's say there's one thing that you do in your business, like maybe let's say every month you send out a newsletter, for example. Like let's say you're a real estate agent and you do that. Well, actually take what you do step by step and write it down in a document step by step. Step 1, I do this. Step 2, I log into this website with this password and then click on this button. And the idea there then is that you could turn around and hire a 16-year-old from high school part-time to come in and actually do that for you every month for $10 an hour, and you would never have to answer a single question for them because they could just read that system doc and do it.
Yeah, and so okay, that's great, and I'll add a few things to that. So number one, I think that's great advice for everybody, and I would say you should document everything. If there's anything you do on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis twice or more than once, you should create a system for that. And
Agreed.
I think there's 3 ways to document the process, right? Because ultimately you want to have a library. Well, you can write it down,
right.
In a Word doc. You can create a video, just put yourself on video and talk about the process, and then store that video somewhere and title it. And anybody that you onboard, you can go, okay, here, go to the library. You want to learn how to do X? Well, I show you how to do X in the how to do X video. Or 3, do what we're doing here, right? Record some audio and create a library that way. So I 100% agree. Now, you said something interesting that I want to dig into a little bit because I think people heard it but didn't really quite understand it. And you said you referenced an MVP, right? If you're going to do this, create a system or process, don't try to put the Cadillac or the Range Rover together, right? Start with an old junker. Right. And the tech world has embraced this notion of the minimum viable product. And what a minimum viable product is, and I'm not telling you this, Andrey, I'm not telling everybody else this. What a minimum viable product is, the smallest amount that will work, right? The crappiest little thing that will work, right? So in your example, that is create some kind of marketing thing to get some little tiny result, test it, see if it works. If it does work, right, then build out on that. So, I'm going to ask you something that I think you and I may disagree with, or talk about something that you and I may disagree with the approach. But many people use the term marketing and advertising as synonymous, as the same thing. Now, okay. I believe they're 2 very unique and very different things. Can you unpack what marketing is and what advertising is, and how people should look at those 2 terms?
Yeah. By the way, I want to give one piece of more actionable advice to the systems thing, and then I want to unpack that with you. Is that okay?
Sure.
One piece of advice, just one quick actionable nugget, if I may, that I'll give to the audience is if you want to test, a really easy way to test a system, and this is something that I've done and I've advised people that I brainstorm with, mastermind with, or coach to do, is once you've written your first little system for one procedure, the easiest way to test if it works is go hire somebody off of what's now Upwork. Used to be, Used to be Elance, now it's Upwork. Hire them, and the only thing you're going to hire for is in your job descriptions. You're going to say, "I need someone to follow this SOP." You're not going to describe it. You're going to attach the SOP as to the job, posting. Somebody's going to bid on it. You'll pick whoever you want to pick, and then you just need to step back and see if by them following the SOP, you get the result that you wanted as a business owner.
That's a great advice, man.
And so instead of creating a bunch of SOPs, create one SOP for one thing, and then test to see if the way you created it works.
That's great.
Right? Before you go creating 100 SOPs and then realize that you made some sort of a flaw in your delivery, and then you got to go redo 100 or 50 or even 20 SOPs. So I would say that create one SOP and then go test it on Upwork.
And if anybody's out there going, what SOP? That just stands for Standard Operating Procedure.
Correct. Yeah.
All right.
Sorry.
So, hey everybody, I'm breaking in real quick. Just want to ask you, do you want to grow your business this year? Of course you do. Are you ready to bring on an admin or an ISA? If so, let the folks over at WiseHire help you attract and hire people with the right skills and fit for your business. WiseHire specializes in helping real estate agents just like you hire only the very best talent. If you're ready to grow, get started. Go to wisehire.com/super. That's WIZE hire.com/super.
Marketing and advertising.
Yeah.
The differences.
Yep.
I would say that I guess I would see them more as cousins. They are related to one another, but they are certainly different creatures and animals. And the best way I can describe it in the simplest form, and then I'll just let you ask me questions in terms of where you want to take it. Advertising to me is some sort of advertising billboard in a airport or like in a subway station where it's something sleek, glossy, and pretty. It's all about just a mass impressions and mind share. It's just constantly bombarding somebody with mass impressions and mass mind share. Basically, share of thought, right? Share of mind space. It kind of is the approach of advertising. That's how I see advertising. Marketing. Now, keep in mind, my roots are in direct response marketing, right? So the way I see marketing in its purest form is a laser-targeted, precise delivery of a specific message to a specific group of people. That that there's a good message to audience match, with the goal of getting a significant number of those people to take action on whatever your call to action or your marketing message is, as soon as they're exposed to your marketing message or call to action, or soon thereafter.
Okay. All right. So that's that. So you and I see that. I see that the same way, except I reverse it. So I believe, and I'm just going to restate pretty much what you said, right? So I believe marketing is all about just brand impressions to the marketplace. And an example of what marketing is, and BMW is in terms of marketing, the way I see it, BMW is fantastic at this, right? You see these beautiful, inspiring images, whether it's an image or a video, right? And it's, German engineering, luxury, comfort, feel the road, right? That's, to me, is marketing. And they want you to imagine that, put yourself in that seat of that, beautiful 7 Series and let your mind take it to where you want to take it. Now, that's marketing to me. Now, advertising is that same image, that same messaging, but they make you an offer, right? BMW, German engineering, feel the road, get yours today for $349 a month. Right, so gotcha. I'm making an offer. So you stated, I think, something very similar. I think we were just reversed the term. And the only reason I bring that up is this is a common thing when I talk to people about radio. Right, they go, oh, hey, I'm signing up for radio. I know it takes time to work, and I'm like, no, it doesn't. If we find market, message, match, it'll work out of the gate.
Well, there's no reason why you can't put. Let's just stick with the fact that you and I say the same things, but apply different labels to it.
Yep.
What I'll say is that there's no reason why you wouldn't apply what I consider direct response marketing principles, like a call to action and message, market, match. There's no reason why you wouldn't put that into the shell of advertising, right? There's no reason why you wouldn't use that within what someone might call what I call advertising, what you call marketing. Like, it's not. Using a billboard doesn't mean that it won't be effective. It's just, if you're selling a niche product where only 1 in a million people need it, it's probably not a smart move. But if you're selling something like a BMW where a lot more people would be buyers, then it makes more sense to have some more of that broad messaging in place, right? So I think that if you're going to use a platform like radio or like TV, then you want to make sure that the product or service that you're offering is something where most of the people who hear the offer are going to need that at some point in their life or regularly need it. And if that happens, then I think that it can be a very effective media as long as you have a good call to action or a good offer in place.
And look, right, exactly right. So I think the important thing about all of this is, in my world, advertising is that call to action. Get yours today for $3.49. And here's what I would say to people. Have a call to action in everything you do. Everything. Turn everything into what I term advertising, or you term marketing. You should have a call to action in your email signature, right? You should have a call to action. Something. People, this drives me crazy, Andre. People have websites, they go spend money on it. They spend, every single bit of traffic you either earn or you buy. And you need to be deliberate about trying to ascend that person. If they get on your website, try to get their email address, right? Give them a free ebook to download. So I would say, the nugget for me here is for everybody should have a call to action on every single thing they do that they push out into the marketplace.
I agree. As a matter of fact, some of the direct mail pieces that I've sent out on behalf of clients over the years were completely stripped of actually just about any brand identity, and were purely focused on just call to action.
Yeah.
And we've had some really, really wild. We've had a level of success with that kind of advertising or marketing. That was a much higher level of success than with just brand-based marketing that didn't have any call to action or an effective call to action.
Hold
surprising numbers too.
Yeah, let's dig into this a second, because everybody thinks, I agree with you. I've seen unbranded marketing, advertising, whatever pieces be super effective. Most agents get kooky when they think about their brand. And why do you think? I think it is not additive in any regard the way that 99% of agents brand themselves today, right? They put their face on everything. Why? What other business industry in the world puts the CEO's, the founder's face, on the card, on the website?
Right.
Why do they do that? It's 2016. Why do you think, agents still do that?
I think every answer that I have in my head for that would be insulting or offensive or politically incorrect. So I'm going to digress on there and just leave it at that. I will say this, though. I will say this in defense of it, almost actually, is that it's when everybody else is doing it that way in any industry, in any niche, when you see everybody else doing it that way. And when you see, and I know there is a lot of successful real estate agents who brand their business cards or their marketing that way as well, and when you see them doing it that way, then obviously you're just naturally, the first tendency is going to be to try to replicate what you see around you. And if you're a new agent without a lot of training and you haven't invested in yourself in terms of invested in your marketing and your sales chops, you're usually going to do what your broker tells you. And your broker is going to tell you, what the brokerage advises and just the cookie cutter information. And so I think it's just an epidemic. I think it's a symptom of just people following me too, cookie cutter advice. That's really what it is.
I agree. And I think the other thing is, when you look at something like real estate, the internet has disintermediated tons and tons of industries, right? Travel agents. Really radio even, like putting radio online. Pandora has disintermediated Sirius or XM, which is disintermediated, terrestrial radio, for example. And I think it's very interesting that real estate has not improved at any kind of a pace like every other industry has. So I think it's part of just being an old stodgy industry.
Yeah, well, just a little teaser about something. I'm working right now with a few agents on testing out using webinars as a real estate agent to sell to your database, right? So agents go out and spend a lot of money on leads, right? A lot of money on leads, and it's actually a horrible state of affairs in terms of what the lead generation industry looks like right now. But they spend so they have what I call all these bloated databases, right? These bloated pipelines, not even pipelines, just databases that are not resulting in business. And the one thing that, as an agent, that what happens to real estate agents is that they're sold to a lot with webinars, right? Marketing companies, vendors use webinars to sell to real estate agents and real estate professionals all the time. I'm not seeing any real estate agents out there using webinars to sell to their databases, right? And I think a lot of it's the perceived difficulty of putting together a webinar, or who knows what else it is. But one piece of advice that I'd like to give to real estate agents is whatever you see as being frequently used as a way to sell to you as a real estate professional, or whatever has worked on you as a sales funnel or as a marketing call to action, see if you can't take that and improvise it and use it for yourself as a real estate agent to sell to your consumers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, to sell to homeowners.
Right. And I think an example of that is I'm here in San Diego, as most people know, and I'm listening to our local talk station, which I do, and I hear this commercial, and it's an agent, it's a small team, and they were using the vehicle of radio to get people to go to a first-time home buyers conference or a home sell, some kind of conference, right? And they did it on a weekly basis. And it was just so bad. I knew they were doing it on their own. So I was like, because again, I live in the direct response world too. So I call them up and I say, hey, listen, my name's Toby. I heard your spot. I guarantee you're not working with an agency. So whatever, we went and had a meeting and told them what they were doing wrong, told them how to improve it. But I think in support of what you're saying, that same team, and by the way, Andrey, they were spending $20,000 a month, a crazy high spend, right? And again, with $20,000 a month, we're in San Diego. You sell a couple $700,000 or $800,000 homes. It's very easy to break even. It's very easy to get a return on that. But for literally pennies on the dollar, they could have bought Facebook ads and did the same thing in a virtual way, right? Do it as a webinar, invite people to this summit or this conference. Or seminar as they were doing it, but do it in a virtual way. So let's pivot right here, because I know you and I could keep going on databases and everything else. So let's pivot to, you were working on something, and I'm supporting you on this, and you are doing something in a virtual way. Tell people what you're doing right now to help agents grow their businesses.
Right.
By the way.
So what I'm doing right now is I've set out to pull together what I believe and feel like anybody in the real estate industry could agree with as the greatest pulling together and collection of minds in real estate on the subject of everything to do with winning at the game of listings. So we're in a listing-driven business, right? At the end of the day, the agents who consistently get listings, get more of them, get them consistently, typically win, right? I mean, that's kind of like a
Gary Keller, right? Leads, listing, leverage.
Right. So it's all about listings. From how I see the industry, from how I see the business, is all about listings. So what I'm working on is putting together a virtual summit that is bringing together some of the greatest minds and success stories that I can get access to, and I'm interviewing them in the virtual summit. And I set out a goal. When I started doing this, I set out a goal, what I thought was a big, hairy, audacious goal, right? My BHAG, of pulling together 30 minds, right? 30 people who are successful in real estate in one way or another. When I say minds, I'm talking about 3 specific categories: either real estate agents who are incredibly successful in one way or another, and they have proven results, or real estate coaches or thought leaders who have a massive amount of testimonials or references that can support that what they share and what they teach or coach is actually real, right? And then the third category is company CEOs and vendor leaders who have a unique perspective on the industry with whatever tool they serve the industry with, where they can give deep data or deep insight into something. And so I set out with a goal for 30 people. And it's just been overwhelming what's been happening. We're now at over 45 plus speakers, and some really high caliber people have been just introduced and have committed to it, and have been incredibly and overwhelmingly supportive of the summit and just what we're doing with the project. And yeah, I'm just in a state of kind of just gratitude, overwhelm right now, and a lot of abundance around what's happening with the summit. And I think a big part of it is because everybody who's committed to being a speaker knows that it's not a pitch fest. It's not like a mega summit to sell products. As a matter of fact, speakers are not allowed to pitch any of their products. If they have a gift that they want to give away to give value to the community and the audience, that's okay. But otherwise than that, it is literally me spending an hour or so with each one of them, digging really deep into like one or only 2 subjects on what their subject matter expertise is, or where they can bring value to the community. And so I I want to start off 2017 with just a big bang and just really contributing something of massive value to the industry and to the community that I've been a part of for nearly a decade now.
Yeah. And you know, I mean, and just so everybody knows, I mean, these are the biggest names, right? These are the Bob Corcorans of the world. These are the guys. This is all the people speaking are all the top 0.25% in this industry. And I think, you know, and by the way, how much is it to listen to these top-notch speakers?
Well, I'll make everybody an offer they can't refuse. You can't turn this down once you hear it. It's absolutely free.
Free.
It's free.
So that's awesome. So, and of course, you know, on the back end, if everybody, you know, if you want access to the recordings, you know, there's a way to do that as well. And I think, you know, I'm working, just so everybody knows, I'm working with Andrey, putting this together, getting all the people in, you know, onboarded and in, and, you know, I obviously, right, I've been doing this for 3 years. I know who's good, who's not. I know what they're good at. And I think Andrey is taking a pretty unique approach to this in the terms that you're trying to create a narrative with the speakers. You're not just bringing them on willy-nilly. You're saying this guy's good at that, this person's good at that, and not only putting the right people on stage, but also, I believe, Andrey, you and I have talked about this. You're trying to slot the speakers in a way that it makes sense, in a way that, you know, a story format.
Yeah, you know. Well, one of the things that I've always tried to be committed to in life is just staying teachable, regardless of who I'm talking to. And I've actually learned more about I've actually been able to improve and optimize the experience of the summit for whoever attends it more from even just the speakers themselves by actually just asking everybody when I've been introduced to them, hey, you know, what do you think I could do to make this summit an incredible event for real estate agents, for real estate professionals, and for the speakers? And one of the pieces of advice that I got from one of the speakers, Michael Mayer, the guy who wrote 7L, he's going to be one of our speakers, 7 Levels of Communication. He shared that you know, some summits that he's participated in and been a part of before has seen is that they almost sometimes feel like a bunch of standalone interviews, right? Now that can work for a podcast format because it's individual interviews with individual people, but on a summit you want more of an experience. So the piece of advice that he gave me was, before I started all my interviews, to sit down and write out an agenda. Like, write out an agenda for the entire summit for every speaker, and make sure that there was a thread that carried the entire, that was woven throughout the entire summit in a way to where every interview maximized the other interviews, and so that there wasn't too much duplication. So, for example, I know that off the top of my head, I know there's at least 3 people that I'm interviewing on listing appointments, how to win specifically at listing appointments, right? But each one of those people has a very different perspective on how to do it, right? Or they have a different way or process of doing it. So there's not going to be too much of any overlap in between the speakers. I was careful to make sure to avoid that. And then also, where there is the same subject being discussed, it'll be discussed from a different perspective or different approach, so that if you as an agent are listening to it, you know, somebody's approach might not jive well for you, but somebody else's will. And that's why I'm keeping everything in the summit focused on just listings, right? You go to a lot of different conferences or summits, and they'll talk about everything under the sun. One of the things that's unique about this summit that and one of the reasons, and one of the ways that I'm hoping to drive a massive impact in the industry for anybody who attends it, is it's going to be 45 plus in-depth, deep dives into just winning at the listings game. Everything from generating listing leads to nurturing leads to, you know, getting listing appointments to doing the listing appointment to, you know, listing the list, you know, putting the listing up to maximizing listings to get more listings. But it's all focused on just winning the game of listings. And so I'm pulling together all these minds together around that one subject to then give as much depth and breadth as possible on that, and not leave anything uncovered or leave no stone unturned, so to speak. Yeah,
and I think you know, everybody, guys. So one of the reasons, Andrey, you were just talking about approach, right? You're talking about perspective, and I think one of the good things about doing this and having you in the driver's seat rather than me, because everybody that's listening is going to go get a ticket that's listening to this right now. You know, I didn't want to give you guys, you know, I didn't want me to bring on Bob Corcoran and have a replay of or Michael Mayer and have a replay of how I approach or how I see those guys. Andrey is going to be, even though you're going to hear some of the same names that you hear in this podcast, I think Andrey's going to bring something unique and fresh to those conversations rather than just me, you know, hearing a round 2 with me and Michael Mayer or Bob. So, okay. And real quick, so that was in your term or viewpoint, Andrey, that was a little advertising, right? Some brand impressions. So I'm gonna now approach it for advertising from my perspective, right? So I'm gonna make everybody an offer. So the offer is this. So one, we're gonna tell you where to go get a free ticket. And number two, as I said, there are ways. Oh, look, I'll just tell you, it's Andrey and I for $96, if you buy the recordings early, you can $96. You get all the recordings, and when you get those recordings, we're trying to throw in a bunch of bonuses. So one of the things that we are launching, right, and we've heard me talk about our copyandsend.com. We have. If you have a database, hopefully you do, you probably are not communicating with it enough. So copy and send, we have 200 and it's growing. I think we have 300 now. Templated emails so that you can just, if you don't know what to say to your database, you go to the library, copy, paste, send it to your database. We have 200 of those. Now we're selling this, but if you buy a ticket, you're going to get that access to that for free. And I think Andrey is trying to put together a bunch of free bonuses from a bunch of different speakers, a bunch of different vendors. So Andrey,
let me speak to that for just a second. Yeah, first off, it's $97. Just want to make it just $1 off. $1 off. So what Toby just said. So when Toby, and I think it's actually one of the reasons, Toby, why you got really excited about being part of the summit too, is that you heard. I feel like you heard the standard of excellence that I'm setting for the summit. So, guys, it's free to register for the summit. It's free to attend any and all the sessions. I just want to say that up front. So if money is tight for you right now, everything is accessible. It really is. This is for everybody, and I want to be able to impact every agent that can attend this. And you can attend every and any session for free, okay? The sessions are going to be available for free for 48 hours. After 48 hours, they come down and they go away to a private membership area. If you buy the $97 all-access pass, then you'll get permanent access to those recordings forever, anytime, anywhere, to study them as much as you want. Now, what I want to specifically say about the bonuses, I know that in our industry, when we hear bonuses, we start thinking about just these hypey sales stacks that we hear on webinars or see on sales pages, right? And it almost makes the skin crawl and triggers a nervous reaction, right? These bonuses are not things that you could have gone and gotten them for free on somebody else's website or one of the speaker's websites or a vendor's website. They're not a bunch of free ebooks, for example, okay? They are the only thing that's allowed into the VIP ticket or the all-access ticket as a bonus is something that a speaker already sells in their business that they're then giving away as part of the all-access pass for free or at a massive discount, okay? So Toby, for example, mentioned a product that they're about to launch from Super Agents Live. That's going to be bundles of templated messages that you can send out to your database, depending on what kind of call to action you want, or what kind of action you want them to take, or whether you're speaking to buyers or sellers, for example. Right? There's a lot of different templates you can use that do most of the work for you. That is something that Toby's business sells or will be selling. Therefore, it qualifies to be on the bonus, on the VIP ticket as a bonus. So I just want you to know that when it comes to, and you'll see it on the page, because once you register for a free ticket, you'll then see an offer for a VIP ticket as well, and it'll show you all the bonuses, and you can go check it out for yourself. You'll realize that for $97, you're actually going to get over $2,000 in actual real retail value of stuff that actually sells on someone's site. And then I link to it all so you can actually go check it out for yourself and see that this is real stuff that really sells for a lot of money that you're going to get for a massive discount, or you're going to get completely free. And the last thing I'll say, too, is that a big part of why I'm doing the summit is to kind of completely get intentional with my business and my life about how I'm approaching business. I'm getting out of consulting, and I wanted to serve a community over the next 5+ years. So there's a lot of personal emotion for me around this. And I've always dreamed of, whenever I heard a podcast interview of somebody who started a business and it was a cause-based business, I've always been a little bit jealous. I was like, man, that's cool that they can have a business, make a profit, and also impact the world positively. And, and I just decided, what, now it's now or never. I need to do this with my business going into 2017 as well. So the summit, 50% of all VIP ticket sales are going to a cause. One of our speakers, Daniel Ramsey, the CEO and founder of My Outdesk, his company, they have an internal project they support in the Philippines that's an orphanage called Boys Town. And so 50% of all ticket sales that come from the All Access Pass are going to that orphanage or going to that cause. So the summit is not only going to be a positive impact for the real estate agent community, it's also going to be a positive impact for the real estate professionals, or the real estate speakers that participate, and also collectively we're going to be able to make it a positive impact for people in real need. So that's another reason why I'm really excited about the project.
Awesome,
it's a lot of new things for me, but I'm really excited and just believing that doing the right thing will make a difference.
Cool. Hey, so where can people find more about either the summit or you?
GetListingsSummit.com. Just GetListingsSummit.com. Go there. You'll see a little video from me at the top, and then you'll see more details on the page. Just scroll through it, check it out, read it. Click on a button that you'll see. There's big buttons all throughout the page. Get a free ticket, and you're in. And then after that, you can check out the next page where I share a little bit more about the All Access Pass and also the cause that we're supporting. And then you can decide for yourself if it makes sense for you to invest in yourself and your business in that way, right? Look at the tools that are available for the bonus ticket. Bonuses that are part of the ticket, and if they make sense for your business, then obviously you'll realize it's a no-brainer to buy the All Access Pass. But that's where you would go, GetListingsSummit.com. And as for me personally, there's really nowhere to follow because I've always grown my business by word of mouth, and I'm just now kind of starting my public-facing, personality platform, whatever you call it. So I don't have anything of my own personal branding up or anywhere to check me out. But GetListingsSummit.com is where you can begin the journey with me.
Yeah, that's awesome. And everybody, so if you are driving, walking your dog, or working out, and you forget that, just go to superagentslive.com. All the stuff, this stuff will be links on the show notes. On the show notes, guys. And if you don't, I don't know why people can't find the show notes. If you go to the site, superagentslive.com, there's a button that says read more. That's where the show notes are. All right. That's it, man. Andrey, thanks. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited for this.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to working with you on the summit. All right, everybody. That's it. Talk to you soon.